Welcome to the Being Curious Show. I'm Brian Mariani, founder of No Shift Own.
And I'm Kelly Wagner, publisher of Edge Magazine. Our show is about curiously connecting teachers and seekers on a wide range of topics in a safe space. Few topics will be off limits, and we have some amazing guests to share with you.
Our intention is that our conversations will spark your own curiosity to create a life that lights you up and inspires you to be kind, thoughtful, open-minded to yourself and others.
We are on AM 950, Sundays at 2 p.m. and all podcast platforms. So, Brian, what are you curious about today?
Woo, woo, here we go. We're going to have some fun. We're here. We're being curious. We're on AM 950, the Progressive Voice. Before we jump in, Kelly, we've had some really fun months. 2022 has been quite a year. We now have a bunch of episodes out on all your favorite podcast platforms. And we just had this little idea that we wanted to really start interacting with our audience. So we thought, well, how do we both support each other? Well, if you love our podcast, we would love for you to go on any platform and give us a rating, give us a review. We want to know what's working,
5-star would be really cool.
Of course, that would be fun, right? But seriously, give us your honest feedback. We want to be here in service to you, and we thought of something that that could be a little fun. Please do take a screenshot of your review and send it to Kelly at edgemagazine.net, or just go to the website and contact us. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to pick someone. We're going to pick one of you, and you are going to get an absolutely free session with Kelly or myself, whoever you want.
Actually, you can pick. I think we should let someone pick because, some people might be
we
curious,
should let them pick.
Right? What I can offer, but you are wicked smart in business and...
Well, I'm from Boston.
And you're from Boston, so, you're going to attract people that way. So, oh my gosh. But yes, people can pick. So please, please, please engage, share with us.
Kelly and I hate doing that kind of stuff. As you can tell, we're super awkward. But we're having a lot of fun. And here's what we're really here for. We have an amazing guest here with us in studio. Kelly, who's with us today?
We are with Cindy Lehman. And actually, Cindy, I'm sorry, I said that really fast. Hey, you guys, we're here with Cindy Lehman. She's glowing. So I'm in studio seeing her, and we have her camera all set up. By the way, you guys, we're trying to do different camera angles and really make this enjoyable, not only from the audio, but for also the video. And Cindy just has this soft glow around her. So I'm just taking it in the studio and just loving and enjoying it. So Cindy, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Kelly.
So something that we really try to kick our show off with, and it's being curious with Kelly and Brian. So we're going to ask this, but sure. What are you curious about?
Yeah, I think a driving curiosity for me has been for a long time is human beings, how we operate in the world, how we make a difference in our own lives and in the world around us. And my field, what I do is work with body and souls. And so human beings as human bodies and souls combined. And so how do we maximize that? How do we, live our fullest lives and follow, our soul's calling or path and still, get to be a human being with all the emotions, with all the physical needs, with our sensuality, with all of it. And so how do we do that and make a difference in our own lives and other people's lives and in the world?
So you call yourself a psychic development teacher, and I very strategically did not introduce you that way because I knew how you were going to introduce yourself, and I thought that was going to be just a really lovely way to just kind of tell everybody, come on, listen, have fun with us today.
So the word...
Sorry, Brian. Brian wants to say hey.
Cindy, by all means, it's your show.
Oh.
I wanted to ask you.
In that case, no, I'm kidding.
It's your time. It's your show.
I'm going to grab that mic and go for it.
But with in the same breath, it's really, we want to be in service to people getting the most value out of this short little time we have.
Sure.
We want people we found that when people really get to know you, there's that ability to have some like, no trust factor
Right.
that'll get people to knock on your door, go to your website, get in touch with you. So
Right.
one of the ways that we love doing that is saying, okay, there's Cindy, the masterclass teacher, psychic, one-on-one group, however you do things, but there's also you as a human being, and there's probably
Right.
a whole lot of experience of you just being in your quote-unquote normal life, whatever that looks like. And so we'd love for you to share with everyone, take us back to some of those kind of first experiences where you maybe started developing these ideas like, oh, there's something in the spiritual world that's calling me, or in the intuitive world, or take us back to some of those first experiences that helped you or developed you into who you are today.
Now, did you embrace it from the beginning, or did you try to hide it and...
Well, I learned to hide it.
Okay.
Right.
There you go.
I made people very uncomfortable if I talked about it. Very uncomfortable. Because I was born in 1954, and so this was not talked about. And so I would, I started out being really young. My mother was overwhelmed. She had 5 kids in 6 years. So we took a lot of naps. And so I spent a lot of time alone. And I learned to play with energy, if you will, with my hands and, look for patterns in wallpaper. I mean, kids are constantly trying to entertain themselves. And so that was a lot of my world to begin with. And then I would see things, I would see things. I'd see other people sometimes or hear things, but I learned pretty early on not to talk about it.
Could you call them imaginary friends? Or, I mean, how would you for yourself know that was so natural and these spirits were around you, whatever you want to call them?
Mm-hmm.
And then did you bring it up to your parents, or did you bring it up to your mom or your siblings and say, do you see the old guy in the tuxedo that's over there?
The programming actually happened a lot earlier than that. And so a lot of it I don't remember, but I do remember one time telling my mom that I had seen my cousin walk into the room. And she got very upset. And she said, that's not something we talk about. That's not real. That's just your imagination. So I heard that throughout my whole life. It's just your imagination.
Did your mom have gifts and abilities and she just had to push them down?
She did.
Yep,
she
there you
had
go.
No clue.
Ding, 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 ding.
Right.
Sorry.
And it didn't serve her because she didn't have a clue. Right. Yeah.
So sad.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're trying to not tell anybody that you have...
Yeah, but you learn.
Did you just kind of turn it off and just kind of like, okay.
Well, it's like, you learn at a very young age, at least, when I was a little child, you don't talk about sex, you don't talk about, anything like that.
Right.
And so you get this programming that goes into your unconscious, and that's how you operate. So you learn as a child to look to the adults to keep you safe and to set the parameters and teach you how the world works. Right.
So tell me about what happened in 1996.
Oh, yes. Okay. That's when my whole world opened up. Before that, I just really tried to be a normal person. I had a lot of deaths in my life.
Normal.
I know, normal.
We're gonna just whisper normal.
Air quotes, right? Like, who's normal anyway? But
who wants to be normal,
well,
Cindy?
yeah,
Like,
right.
come on.
Right.
Brian and I are like, nope. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Don't sign me up for that class.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I did all that. Had a lot of deaths in my life of people I was close to, and I always knew I could feel them. I could sense them, and so. But anyway, in 1996, I'm really trying to do the normal life, and I ended up with a ghost in my house. And I had ghosts and spirits before that. Some houses I lived in were clear, some weren't. It just depended. But this one was really visible. It would respond to you. So it was really, there was a lot of consciousness attached to it. And so you could ask it to move away, and it would. And, it was beautiful, just beautiful. Beautiful looking. It was like points of light. Like I think of it as like pure soul energy. Mm-hmm. So it didn't look like a body or anything like that. But it was in my daughter's bedroom, so I thought, this has got to go. This is, I don't really know what this is all about. So, yeah. So
were you able to communicate with it? Like,
On one-sided, yeah, where
Okay.
I could say, please move away,
Okay.
please, this makes me uncomfortable.
Right.
And so I contacted some women I knew as psychics, and they came out, and it took them a couple months to come out. So I'd go up there and I'd talk to this being, and I'd just say, I want my children to be safe because I had 2 kids. I was a single mom. And so I say, this is the agreement. I'm going to get you help, but you need to make sure that you operate with us in a way that is safe for us, and I'll respect you and you respect us. So we had an agreement. And so these women finally got out there a couple months later, and I sat with them while they worked with this. It was a teenage boy who died in a car accident, found out. And so I worked with, or they worked with him while I was in the room with him, because I was curious, see? Right? That's
See,
always-
coming back to the curiosity.
Exactly. That's
Coming
always
back.
what has pulled me. Right. So, he had died in a car accident, and he had gotten all jumbled up after the accident. It was pretty bad, and got lost.
Did he know that he had passed, or was he kind of in that in between?
He knew.
Okay.
He really had a lot of consciousness attached. A lot of spirits don't know.
Right.
Right. But he knew. He was really sharp. Right.
Did he enjoy your house and your
Yes,
family and your
he
girl?
did.
Like, right? I have just.
I had this house that was built in 1939. It was, of that era, and so it was quaint and charming and had a ton of problems. But, and my daughter was comfortable with him. My daughter's also highly soul gifted, and so she was comfortable with him being in her room. And but they healed him enough and guided him to the other side. The room got brighter. The air was lighter. Before that, it had felt like there was a thunderstorm in the room. The air was charged.
I love that's how you described it.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody's got to take her classes.
Because that's so relatable. I mean,
Exactly.
everyone knows whether you're intuitive or not. There's that moment where you step outside and you're like,
Right.
something's about to happen. I should probably head inside.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So I always tell people, if your soul wants to do this work, I'm nothing special. My soul just wanted to do this, right?
Yeah.
Like some people, souls want to be engineers and, all kinds of things.
And bless them, because we need engineers.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. We need everybody.
Well, and I think there's an inevitable question, perhaps, whenever we start talking about guests and this whole ghosts. And
Guess,
this whole
ghosts, they're all
topic.
the same thing, right?
Guests, ghosts. You say tomato, I say tomato. Whatever. It's is there, or have you ever experienced any fear? Right? Because most people associate ghosts. It's like ghosts scary.
Yeah.
And that's about it. We go to watch a movie, or I'm afraid at night. I don't like it when the lights are out.
Yep.
Being someone who has had these very real experiences throughout your life, have you ever experienced anything fearful, evil, dark, whatever you want to call that? What would be your message to someone who's maybe in the camp of, this is all new to me, except for that this is scary?
Yes. And yes, I have been scared. Okay. Now that I know how to work with energy, I still might hit fear, but then I know what to do and I move out of it. Okay. So, but yes, I have encountered, I'd love to say it's all wonderful, sugarcoat everything. It's a mix. Spirits are like people. We're all a mix, and there's a small percentage that, like to cause trouble or whatever. And so what I can tell people, though, is it's a concept that my teachers taught me and that I teach my students, and it's called seniority. Nobody has the right to mess with you. This is your soul and your body. You're not up for grabs. You get to say, leave me alone, and mean it. And when you can do that, it works. Right. So you step up, just like if you were walking down the street and somebody tried to mess with you. You puff yourself up and you just are not the victim. And that works.
That was so
Well,
fun
and
to watch you do that, by the way.
I know I get all puffed up.
I know you got all puffed up. I
Whoa.
was like, whoa, there's the
Right.
big
And
stick.
I get protective.
I think that's such a perfect, beautiful message for everyone, because that's what you're taught in any defense class. That's what you're taught.
Right.
If you were to somehow come up against like a bear in the woods, it's not like you don't go like this and cower because it
Right.
might actually come over and sniff you. It's like get as big as you can and yell and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Right.
So we're really diving in. We're having fun. Segment 1's flying by. We have really opened this conversation to say, for anyone out there, ghosts are real. There are people who can interact with them because they choose to. But really, you touched on something earlier, which is to say, we all have this, but it is a choice to say, yes, I'm open to it. I want to learn more. I want to experience, or not. And either way is totally fine.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But you've really created a gateway for those who are more curious about these types of topics. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's something we really want to highlight in our time with you today. So thank you, Cindy, for being with us. That's segment 1. I'm Brian. That's Kelly. We're being curious. And we'll see you in segment 2. Welcome back. It's segment 2. We're having fun. We're learning. We're connecting. We're uncovering conversations that maybe are uncomfortable for a lot of people, but we're creating a safe space to do that. So, maybe for those people that this is a new conversation, Cindy, maybe contextualize your journey a little bit more to say, hey, I had a career, I had a family. Some people disagreed with me completely on some of my beliefs or experiences. Some people didn't. And then ultimately, how did you have the confidence or courage to say, hey, I'm planting my flag. I'm doing this full-time, part-time. Walk us through that.
I'm taking courses.
journey.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
And in the in-between of our segments, you said it's like putting on a jacket that just doesn't fit anymore. And I thought that was so beautiful.
That was so good.
Right.
I love that.
You start growing out of your life, and you want more, but you don't know what it is maybe yet. And so for me, I was working in the corporate world. I had a pretty good job. I worked in IT, and I was a single mom, so I was supporting my family. And so everything was going good, but, I always have been curious. And then I got the ghost in my house and met my future teachers, and it just opened me wide up, and I had to know more. So I started learning from them, and I didn't know that I would be doing readings or teaching at some point, but I just kept getting pulled. And I think you're right about curiosity. It's what pulled me. I wanted to know more. I wanted to, at the same time, we are bodies and we are souls. And as a body, as a human body, I had this job that was, somewhat secure and, paid the bills and everything else. And the thought of moving out of that was terrifying.
Sure.
Yeah. So I did it in increments. And I knew I didn't know where it was all going.
So tell us how you did that, because I know a lot of people in our community they have their day job, but they're longing, and then they play at night and the weekends, and they're going through classes and their trainings and retreats, and I was one of them, right? And what did you do to I'm just seeing shift the tide. So the tide started to come in, and so how did you make that beautiful transition?
Well, it took me several years. It really did. And so what I did is I started working less at my corporate job. So I tried to move around so I could get jobs where I could work part-time within the corporation. And then I would use that extra time to continue learning. And so I knew it wasn't going to be long-term. I knew I couldn't retire at this job, even though that was the financial golden grail, right? And, but I knew I couldn't. I knew I couldn't. And so it was gradual for me. I mean, some people just quit and do that and white knuckle it. I'm not good at that. So it took a while, but it just kept pulling me. When I started having a desire, I didn't have a desire to do readings. I do soul readings. But I wanted to know how they worked.
Right.
I'm like, I want to know how these things work. And so I started learning from my teachers. And as I learned, that desire came up for me.
So you're going to your boss and you're part-time. How did you make the decision to say, I'm leaving IT and I'm going to be going into that? There was something that happened that made you pivot.
Yes, there was. I had been building my own business on the side, working with people and continuing to learn and becoming more confident that at some point I could, emancipate from the corporate world financially and everything else. And so I just kept that goal in mind. It's like that old 60 civil rights saying, keep your eyes on the prize. And that's what I did. And I just kept cutting back at the job that I wanted to leave and adding to the job I was moving towards. And in about 12, 13 years ago, maybe 14 now, I was able to do that, just walk away and say, I'm done. And, And so sometimes I've learned, sometimes people, I told the people I worked for in the corporate world, and sometimes they were really supportive, and they knew me, so they didn't think I was a flake, and so they knew me, and so my leaving to do something like this, they might not have wanted to ask a whole lot about it, but they still respected me, and so they worked for me to help me do that.
So you talk about the body-soul combination that makes us humans. That's something that's really important. And then also, I'd love to know more about that, but then also tell us about that and then the importance of soul readings, because I think some people in our audience are like, what's a soul reading?
Right. So bodies and souls. So each one of us, every one of you out there, has a body and a soul. Your soul is your life force. It is your essence. It's what makes you do things that everyday animals don't do, okay? Yeah, humans take things further because they have this soul that comes in with creativity and passion and desires to, create. And so, so that's your soul. So you got this body that wants to play it safe. Your body has fear, and your body, likes comfort, likes to, do things a certain way all the time. Then you've got this soul that has no fear and that wants learning and adventure and creativity. So the job situation, it's like my body was saying, you know how to do this. Why would you leave? You make good money.
You have benefits. Everything's like it's safe, right?
And then the soul is saying, okay, you know how to do this. You're good at it. What's next? What's next? And that's what pulls. It starts to pull us. And it's totally fine to stick with a job for your entire life if that works for you. Right. And so what was the second part of the question?
I'm not going to tell you. No, I'm just kidding.
Soul readings. Soul reading. I'm
not going to tell you. No. Right. Soul readings. No, it's beautiful.
You have to pull it out of the air.
You have to pull it out of the air.
Right. It's a test. No, yeah. No, soul readings, why I was drawn to them, my teachers, I had several of my teachers, and they're really, the focus is on what your soul wants you to know now. It's not a psychic reading where you're predicting the future, which is pretty dicey business anyway. We're creating our lives as we go along. So it's not a psychic reading, but it's like, what does your soul want you to know now? What's in your best interest? And then as you work with people, when you're open, you can also tap into, other people's loved ones and things. And so it's whatever that person needs the most. It's really about them.
Okay. Sorry, the lights are starting to go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and I'm like, uh-oh.
Right.
We're getting messages in here.
Who's being called in?
Yeah, who's being called in?
So, Kelly brought up a really important topic, which is that a lot of our audience and many people out there in general, there's that little voice inside them that might say, ooh, imagine if I could do this. Imagine if I could do that.
Right.
And, you're inspiring to every one of those people because you built up over time the ability to absolutely do that full time.
Right.
And so I wanted to ask you two questions again, and I think they're going to be very easy for you. One, do you remember the first time that you got paid for your passion? That's the first question. And the second question is, do you remember the day or the period of time where you said, wow, I can do this full time. I can let go of the job that I'm not totally passionate about.
Right. Okay, so the first time I got paid very little. When you start out sometimes, and I started out doing animal readings. Why? Because that's what came. And so people would call me for animal readings. So I started doing those. And so I did them for a minimal amount of money. And it was good. It was fun, to do something I love and get, some kind of energetic exchange back for that, which was in the form of money. And so that, and I remember planning for this exit from my corporate job. I had a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D. I think I landed on C, but it still worked. And so, when I could see that, the first couple of plans weren't going to work out, they were, a long shot, but I could see that I could possibly pull this off. Yeah, I was pretty euphoric and scared. Right.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So for anyone out there, there's a combination of euphoria and fear. That's totally okay.
That's it.
It takes the time that it takes.
Yep.
And it's absolutely in the realm of possibility to live a life in modern society, to pay your bills and more, and do what you love to do what you're really called to do. So one of the things we love to do, Cindy, is like, if you can, as clear as possible, talk about you becoming more and more aware and having more and more clarity around what you are called to do.
Right.
Can you talk through what that is for you, and so that other people can go, oh, that's that little voice, or like help people do what you did?
Mm-hmm. Well, and I just want to let you know, I love how you phrase messages, like the thunderstorm in a room.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I couldn't describe that to you for all the money, all the time, all the gifts and ability, but you're like, it's like a thunderstorm in the room.
Right.
You are a beautiful teacher. You have a 9-month class that we're going to be talking about moving forward. But I just want to let the audience know, you create this, and you could look at this video, you have like this beautiful glow around you. You create this beautiful safe space. And I can just see your students going from this curiosity to, oh, I want to work with you. But I also have a feeling that you've honored your teachers. Mm-hmm. And I have a feeling that you also mentored underneath some just amazing, powerful people as well. Okay,
Absolutely.
Now go back to Brian's question. I just had to interject.
Okay. So I think the question was, I'll phrase it, Brian, and it might be different, but what pulls you to do this? What is it that what's the key to some of this? For me, and I think for most people, it's that initial hit of, I want this. I want this. And it's like you want it. And it's a soul thing because it comes in, it's very clear. And then our egos and our minds start talking us out of it. Well, you can't because you need benefits, you need all these things. This is why you can't do it. We're trained to do that. We're trained to keep ourselves small in the boxes we were taught to be in. But I think, our souls then a lot of times want us to grow outside of that box. And that's that initial hit, I want this. And sometimes you don't even know why, but you know you want it, and you give yourself permission to check it out, to try and figure out how you can have that in your life in some small way. But I think everybody's got that. I want that. And if we can just learn to not shut that down, to hold space for it. Might not be the time to move on it, but you let yourself know it's okay to want that. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think what I got from that was, in whoever's human experience, when something comes in and it's like, whoa, that idea lights me up.
Yes.
Or, wow, that really gets me excited, instead of going into, well, no way, that's impossible, that's crazy, it's impossible.
Right.
At least be open to exploring, being curious about, well, why does that make me happy? Why does that light me up? And that's kind of where I wanted to go further, is how did you go from that initial curiosity to creating a full-time business? Because, there's that 80-20 rule. There's the 98 out of 100 where, 98 people won't ever get there. 2 people will.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in helping those 98 people, because we don't need to help the 2%ers, right?
Right.
But
exactly.
how can we help the other 98 people, really learn from you?
Yes. So the formula that worked for me is turning around, this body-soul combination. So how you start to let this soul energy more in your life, this part of you that has no fear, that wants these things, that can create opportunities and the things you need to keep moving forward, is you start working with the body first. You work with the body and its fears. You learn to have a different relationship with your body. The other half of who you are is a human. Okay, so you learn to have compassion for yourself, to stop judging yourself, to take good care of yourself, but primarily how to have a new agreement with your body, not to be critical of it, but how to support yourself. And then your body starts to relax because your body trusts you. Okay, and if you're critical of your body, it takes it in. But if you can be compassionate and supportive, it also takes that in. And then it relaxes, and more of this fearless, this is who I, eternally am, really am, comes in, and you have more of that to work with. Right.
Wow. You're saying that, and it's so hitting me, and I'll try to be clear, and maybe Kelly will have to jump in, but I literally named my business, Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
It's called No Shift Own Consulting, but it stands for Know My Body, Shift My Mind, Own My Future.
Perfect.
And so you just confirmed for me as a young man, there's something there.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Absolutely.
I was about to say, I think Brian's going to be one of your first people signing up for your fall classes starting. Oh my gosh, you guys, we're wrapping up segment 2 with Cindy Lehman. She is a psychic development teacher. This feels so good. You guys, you got to check it out on, the glow around her is really fantastic. Oh, Kelly, I'm not kidding. I'm looking at it going, if you look at the 2 frames, you wouldn't guess that we're in the same room. Kelly and Brian and Kelly, AM 950, Cindy Lehman. We'll be right back.
All right, everyone, we're back for segment 3. Being curious. Are we on, Kelly, or not?
Oh, we are. We're totally
okay.
on. Patrick gave us the bat call, and we got it. So, hey, everybody, we're back.
So we're good.
Gosh, we're so
back.
professional.
Hi, everybody.
So professional.
So we're in segment 3. We've had a wonderful time getting to know you, Cindy, and really building this incredible, I would say, a safe, empathetic space for people to be curious. And the number one thing that we want to happen today is for people to feel it, get it, and then get in touch with you. The most important thing is to take action on what feels good. And not just, I see some people's minds going places like it's bigger than just what feels good, like what's good for your soul, right? And so that's really what we want to happen. And we know that you have some very accessible opportunities for people to really lock arms with you, learn, grow, evolve, and find their place in potentially what they're really called here to do. So tell our audience about what's available, what you've got cooking, and how people can connect with you.
Right. So, first of all, I'm hoping I can vary off just a little bit here.
Not allowed in this show.
Oh, gosh.
Oh my gosh, no. You've got to stay laser focused.
Strict guidelines.
Very, very strict. Oh, please go.
Yeah. The word psychic. I want to say something about the word psychic because it's kind of overused, misunderstood, and all of that. And so what I want to say about that is I interchange the word psychic with soul. Because if you look at the word psych or psyche, the root word is, or is psych, it is spirit. And so spirit or soul, they're interchangeable. And so if the word psychic flips you out, I actually don't even like it. But, the title of the 9-month course that I teach is Psychic Development. Why do I keep that title? Because I can't, for the life of me, come up with a better one. And it's what my teachers called it. And so I just continue that lineage. But, yeah.
Well,
Soul development?
but then people could take it something different.
It just doesn't. And, people still come. People still come. They've continued to come. So I just leave it. And, And why do I want to teach people these things? Because, we have all these issues in the world, all these problems in the world, and your soul knows the big picture. Okay?
It's almost like sometimes they're like laughing at us. They're just like,
Well, yeah.
okay, go do that.
Right, right. So if we could, each one of us, bring in more of our own soul energy, our own creativity, this big picture view, we could solve every problem in the world. There's billions of souls on this planet. We could solve every problem we have. We're not there with our evolution yet. But when each one of us starts to open up to this, we're on that cutting edge of evolution. And so that's why I do this. Right.
Okay, so you have a 9-month course. I'm sorry, Brian, go for it.
Get me back.
No. I was
task.
just really quickly,
No.
I was going to say, you probably have lots of confirmation now in your life experience to know that people who go on this type of journey
Right.
are good people.
Oh,
They become even
absolutely.
better people.
Right.
Nice.
My coffee mug
Go,
says
Kelly.
the South is my happy place from my dear friend, and I brought it in today, and I was just laughing with you two because I just love it. Because, I'm not the girl to bring us back. I never, no. I'm the queen of rabbit holes, so you just keep going.
No, but in all seriousness, we do want people to get in touch with you. We want people to know what you're offering. So
Right.
absolutely dive in.
Yeah.
What's cooking?
So I teach a 9-month class, and I'm starting a new one in September. I tend to offer these twice a year, in September and in February.
What's the date?
September 27th, and this one's going to be on Tuesday evenings, 7 to 9 p.m. on Zoom, okay? But I also have audio recordings of the class for students who want to take the class who can't commit to that time or are in too significant of a different time zone. And so people can take the audio recordings and take class with those, and then I have an agreement with my students that I'm available, for questions and support as they take this class. So whether it's online or, via audio files. So there's that, and it is that class. It's 9 months. We meet every week for 9 months. We start working with the body, and we start expanding outward, understanding more our abilities, and everybody has these abilities. It's just whether you want to really dig in or not. So any one of us could play the piano. But the people who are really, really committed to playing the piano that soul wants to do that, okay? So we all have these abilities. I'm nothing special. My soul just wanted to do this and wouldn't let up, okay?
Well, I think you're something special, so there.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. But it can help you if you're drawn to this material. It can help you, learn more about who you are, who you really are. And I always say who you really are is this magnificent soul in a miraculous human body. That's each and every one of us. And so if you've got a body and a soul, which you do, if you've got a chakra system, you do. If you've got an energy field, you do. You've got all the ingredients to learn and do this work. So,
and do you talk about the chakra system and the etheric
Yes.
field? And do you dive? Because 9 months every week.
oh, yep, we
I bet
cover
that's
a lot.
Lots of ground.
Yeah. And, so at the end of the course, how it's designed is, of course, it depends on how you apply it and how you work it. But the end of the course is designed to help you be comfortable with who you are and to be open to who you are and to know that you're safe in moving forward. These lives are pretty brief, actually. And, I won't get into death because that's a whole different thing, but they're pretty brief. And we get to take chances. We're still safe.
Okay, what do you want to share about death?
Oh, well, it's a transition.
Mm-hmm.
You're born, you die. It's just another door. You walk through it, and then you might walk through that birth as a human being again. So it's just another transition. Who we are as souls, we still are, right?
I'm working on the next Edge magazine, and the highlight is death. So when you said that, I went,
right.
Tell me a little bit more about
Right.
that. It is a transition, and
It is.
to be born, and
Yeah.
like if you think about the different frequencies of birth and then death.
Right, right. And a soul is a soul, whether they're in a body or not. So, it just continues, right?
So tell us about the type of people that have been taking your classes, because I see
Sure.
a full range of people
It
with
is.
different curiosities. Tell us more.
It's a variety of people. So it is people who are just coming in and from ground level. And so, they want to learn more, or they know there's more to life and they don't know what it could be.
There's been kind of this scratch going on or something they're kind of curious about.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Or somebody told them to take the class. Okay, right. So I get a lot of people who say,
Brian, take the class.
I don't know why I'm here, but I'm here. Somebody told them to take the class. Or I get people who are, they're massage therapists. They are some kind of therapist. They're psychotherapists, psychologists. Or they're really heavy into the intellectual world, and they want to know more about their, this mysterious part of them. And so it's a variety of people. From all walks of life. My oldest student right now is 87 years old. And youngest, I tend to not take people if they're in their teens. But occasionally, on rare, it depends on that person, But so there's a wide variety of people, which I think is good in a class, because diversity is what the world is all about. And so we can be diverse and learn from each other from that. Right.
So it's the last day of the class.
Oh, yes, it's a 9-month class, 36 sessions.
36 sessions.
So it'll start on September 27th, and it will go 36 weeks out. Now, if we had a cancellation, we would bump that out another week. Right.
So on your last day of your class, because I'm assuming and I don't want to use the cliched word transformation because everyone's using transformation now.
Right.
But there's a huge shift. Awareness. I like awareness better. On day one on the last day versus the first day.
Right.
What do people like to springboard off to? Because I know that some will say, hey, I want to leave my IT job in the corporate world because of what I've just done over the last 6 months.
Right.
Some might say, wow, that was great. I know myself better and I'm going to keep going on my journey. What do you feel on that last day? What are like the big questions that people ask or their next steps? That's where I'm going with it. Sorry, I'm starting to see pictures and that doesn't help in radio.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I think at the end of that 9 months, you have a lot more clarity about who you are and where you want to take this show that you're in, this path, okay, where you want to take it. And it might just be, I just appreciate my life more, and I'm not going to make major changes. That's totally fine. But in this class, too, you learn how to work energetically in the world. So if you're running a lot of fear, if you're running a lot of negative emotions, you learn how to shift out of that. And we get pretty good at it. And so you've got all these tools and everything, and so you live your life differently. Right. You want to stick around for your life.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. You wake up every morning and you want to be you.
Aww.
Right.
There we go.
Well, maybe not 100% of the time, but you know what I mean. Right.
So Cindy, for people who are listening to this and maybe they're at a place like, wow, Cindy's kind of opening my mind a bit. I'm not sure if I'm ready for like a 9-month course.
Right.
But maybe I am. What would be like 1 to 3 things you could say, hey, everybody, try this out. Take action on this right now. And maybe after that, they'll be like, 9 months, I'm in. Let's do the course.
Right. I think anything where you get to practice, including your body, because that's how we make change. I always use the example of riding a bicycle. You can't read a book and learn how to ride a bicycle. You can't take a weekend seminar, and know how to. You got to do it, keep practicing. And if you never ride a bicycle again for the rest of your life, on your deathbed, you will know how to ride a bicycle, right? That's what it's all about. So anybody, I'm not the only teacher out there, and so anything you're drawn to, any other course, maybe there's a day course or whatever, but if you get that initial hit, I want that, follow up on it. And if cost and time are an issue, I can work with people with cost. Their time, I can't do much about that. But, so there's, the barriers, too, sometimes when it's really a soul thing, the barriers fall away. That's what I've always found. And so in some way, shape, or form, that tends to happen for people, right?
And you also have your teachers. So how long have you been training these or having these 9-month courses?
Thank you for reminding me about that. Yes. I am now 68 years old, so I keep talking about retirement at some point. I don't know what that is. Now I'm talking semi-retirement. I don't know what that is either. But I have trained people how to teach this course, and they're gifted. They're wonderful. I've trained people how to do soul readings. And so if, whatever happens, there are always other people out there who can offer this information too. They might offer it in different forms. I used to do 3-hour workshops, and I would just take a topic and bring it down to, a level for the open public and work with that. So there's all kinds of other ways to bring it into. So I teach the 9-month course. I teach advanced courses for the people who take the 9-month course then, so that they can continue that way.
And what do those classes look like?
Are
they one-on-one? Are they small groups? What does that look like?
They're pretty much Zoom classes again with audio recordings, but they're for the people who have completed the foundation class, and so we have the same language. We have the same tools. We have the same practices that we can use to go even deeper into, what is body and soul, that combination. What are chakras really? What's the mystical side of chakras? What are the parts you don't learn about in all the books that are out there, right?
I get that it's like this really fun play group where you to really go in because you've done, it's like with a foreign language when I studied sign language. And so at first you're trying so hard to figure out what everything means. But once when you get fluid, then you can actually have fun and play with it.
That's it.
Okay, cool. I want to make sure.
And
you weren't looking at me like this weird. I was like, oh, am I totally off track?
No. And you can go further and deeper and faster because everybody's on the same page. Right.
Okay, so I want to make sure before we wrap up, we're already wrapping up. Like, this is crazy. This has been a great interview. Thank you so much. Yeah. So September 27th, 2022.
Yes.
Your next 9-month psychic development class starts.
Yes.
And people go to Cindy Lehman, and that's CindyLehman.com.
Yes.
And they can find your classes.
Yes.
Okay, and then you also have on your website information on your soul readings as well.
Yes.
Okay, so if someone's interested, they might not be interested in classes yet.
Sure.
But soul readings can also.
Absolutely.
Okay, and they can also reach you. What's your email address?
It's Cindy Lehman. Cindy at CindyLehman.com.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You guys.
Pretty simple.
I hope you're curious. Cindy is a beautiful soul, beautiful guide, beautiful teacher. And, oh my gosh, on behalf of Brian and Kelly, this has been lovely. The thunderstorm in the room. I just love that.
This has been fun for me,
This
too.
has been great.
Really
Thank you.
fun.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Kelly. Thanks, Brian.
We're so honored.
Thank you, Cindy.
CindyLehman.com, you guys, if you're just curious or you want to get the classes, September 27th, 2022. Oh my gosh, till next week, you guys. Kelly and Brian and Kelly, we're being curious on AM 950. See ya.